Boom. We're live. What's up, everybody? This is GMrDrew here to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Goloszewski Experience. This is going to be episode, what I put down, 479. We up there. You know, almost 500 episodes of this. Just me drawing pictures. What are we working on today? Today, gonna be doing laying another coat of watercolors on. I think what I'm gonna be doing with if I'm gonna like watercolor at like high volumes is like layer it and paste it, which means I just gotta kind of like let it sit and dry sometimes. So I'm gonna throw another base coat, another color, on the Vinland commission, and then yeah, I'll probably be working on like just some sketches in the sketchbook if I can remember where I put it. Oh, it's right there. Nice. So yeah, it's just gonna be a whole bunch of drawing. Let's just jump right into it. See, I got some Vinland references there. You can see. You can see like that's like my really rough sketch when I was like working out this idea, and yeah, these are basically just the references I'm working with, since I'm not like all that familiar with the characters or anything like that. So yeah, I kind of started off with like this light blue. It's just because there's so much blue in Vinland Saga as far as like the water and the skies go. Kind of goes well with all the drab clothing that everyone wears in that series. Everyone wears like burlap sack colors. So I figured blue would be a decent base. But what I want to do is what I'm going to want to do is actually use like a darker blue. That's something that's almost like a black, you know? And then really get these shades. So this blue's kind of serving as like just like a coat of saturation, because I know if I just went like straight with the dark blues, I mean, who knows at that point, right? Could have got rough. Could have muddied out early, you know what I'm saying? Don't want all that to happen. And I was wondering how much do I want to oh, we can't even see the sky that I'm working on right now. Man, I was watching Alvin, not Alvin Lee, uh, not Jay Lee. What's his name? What's his name? He's named after the Marvel guy too. Not Stanley. Oh well. I was watching a comic book artist stream recently, and he has like a really famous, really popular way of like handling backgrounds. Like people like really enjoy his ink and his ink work, like his ability to like render. I was watching it. Why does Alvin Lee keep popping up? I know he's also another artist, a really good artist, but it's not Alvin Lee. It's not Stan Lee. Something Lee. It's not Jay Lee. One of my favorites. What is that man's name? Oh well. He has a really good inking process, and he developed this technique with using, tissue paper, or paper towel, toilet paper, whatever something of that kind of context, and blotting with some ink. And he's able to like create these like kind of like background clouds, kind of like energy kind of stuff, like it's really just noise to fill in the background. Like there's really not too much rhyme or reason to it outside of like maybe trying to play with the lighting, bring the character to the foreground a little bit more, things like that. But as far as like what he's laying down, it's just random shapes. And he just takes it and he just blots ink around. It creates like this nice cloud effect. And then he'll use those darker tones and help push and pull. He'll throw some white paint on top of it. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He's like the man. Too many Lees. Jim Lee. There we go. That's his name. Jim Lee. How dare I forget Jim Lee's name, right? So, yeah, I was watching Jim Lee's stream. He did like that Omega Red one recently. And, me, I'm all about these fighting games. And, Omega Red's in one of those, and he's oddly popular character. I mean, I remember him from the Wolverine versus Hulk animations, and then they had like all the Weapon X characters. So yeah, I'm not like brave enough to just sit there and like start trying to do that off rip, but I'll definitely want to do that, like utilize whether some people will use sponges and things like that. Kind of soften these out. How's the microphone? Yeah, I didn't take the microphone off. In the last episode when I did that, that shit just started popping, cutting out. I ain't got time to sit. No, my audio ain't never gonna be right. My audio ain't never gonna be right. I was sitting there, I took the microphone out, and it was just like pop, 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 pop. Oh man. And then it like cut out in mid sentence. I'm all talking. None of it's getting picked up. Yeah, and this is definitely where I wanted to get like those dark shades. Where do I want to start? I'll basically just go over all this stuff. But again, this is just base coating. Before, like, I let it dry, and then I'll throw like a base coat of the actual colors, like all the tans, all these jewel colors, and the gold crown and all that good stuff. I got a rad rad Brad. Uh, I've been watching his playthrough of RE4 remake. You know, I watch like different people's playthroughs sometimes just to see the differences. You know what I mean? Of other people's playthroughs and see how what they do if the game shows anything different. You know, you actually get some like pretty interesting results just because people tackle games differently. So then like the programming reacts towards like how they play the game almost. And then like certain events just take place or an enemy will do something that like I just didn't see in other playthroughs. So it's always just interesting. But yeah, I don't need to see him kick Sadler's ass, you know. I'll give you a holy body. It's not a bad last one-liner. It's actually really good. You know what's interesting? How RE4 tackled, uh, or Capcom tackled, you know, RE4 remake. Like what they've been doing with the remakes as far as like reintroducing them to the world with you know the updated versions. I think it's like top notch. Because you know, at least with RE4, you always had that the craziness, the crazy characters. The fact that you're like RE1, you're in a mansion. You know whether you've ever been in a mansion or not, it's like you can still understand. Like, oh, okay, this is just a really big old fancy house. You know, in RE2 and 3, you're in a major city. It's like, oh, okay, you know, kind of makes sense that a major city would kind of have like all this kind of stuff kind of going on. I think they said that like the police station used to be a museum, and that's how they explain why the police station is all like crazy. Like why they have like knight's armor in a museum and stuff like that, or at a police station. You know, it's not symbolic at all to say like police are something like knights. Not at all, right? But you know, and then RE4 like came in with a castle, and then you know while I was just now talking about RE1 having a mansion, I was like, I guess a castle really is just like a fancy mansion. You know what I mean? Like a castle is, I guess, is something like a corporation. You know what I mean? It's like a corporate, like a physical corporate structure. You know what I mean? Something that actually has like the brick and mortar to house the employees that work in it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of something like what a castle is. Not only is it a fortress, not only does it house, you know, the royal family, but it houses everyone that works the castle as well. But still, you know, it's still a crazy setting. Like you have more likelihood to get into like a mansion than you would a castle. I mean, unless you're doing like a tour or something, you know. But as far as like an active mansion or an active castle, like yeah, you have more chances of getting into a mansion than a castle. So it's like just the castle itself is just such an odd. Is he gonna do the flips? Nope. See, I watched Sphere Hunters playthrough, and when after they beat Sadler, jump on the jet ski, she's all doing the flips and the dips. I don't know if anybody else ever did that, or at least did it before her. You know what I mean? It's like this is why you watch. This is why I watch other people's playthroughs and a few playthroughs. Yeah, you just never know what you'll get. But yeah, it's like how are we gonna make a castle make sense? And I think it's beautiful. Like I don't know if they made it make sense at all, but they definitely put you there. They definitely put you there where you're like, you know what I mean? Like there's a line. Ashley has a line where she's like, "Oh my God, they got catapults," and they're like, "Yeah, they're you got zombos wearing like old classic armor, like building." It's like, what would a zombo be able to build? You know what I mean? Like if you weren't an architect, and you know you just got body snatched, and then you had to like give your evil overlord like protection. Like what could you do? Like start making slingshots and shit. Like like who actually knows how to do things? So it's like it almost makes sense that even though RE4 takes place in something like the modern day, I guess it's the 90s. They still like left it as the 90s maybe, or early 2000s. I don't know. They still ride that jet ski off into the sunset with no land in sight. But yeah, I think since Capcom's able to actually almost make it make sense that you would feel the environment, where it's like you're in a village. Okay, it's kind of like a shoddy village. Been there, you know what I mean. Like you can go to a shoddy town, pretty much anywhere, right? And like even thinking about old castles and mansions and stuff. Like I watched that one show, The White Lotus. Like I saw season two. I didn't see season one, and I didn't need to, but apparently like one of the characters or something like that was like from season one. So it's like okay, like I gotta go back and watch it. And season two was good enough, maybe watch twice. But like to think about those uh those scammers in season two, where I knew that lady was getting scammed from the get go. I was just like, oh damn, they taking this lady, like from Jump Street. They're trying to take this old, they trying to take Stifler's mom, yo. Like they trying to get her, and I was like, nah, not Stifler's mom. Don't do Stifler's mom like that. But yeah, and they were like scammers, and when the world will leave you to believe that like scammers are just like the lowest of the low people. Like you would imagine like a common criminal being like a scammer, but it's like nah. You can be like a high ranking official of some sort. And the way that show just kind of dropped it in there, and they're throwing like all these crazy parties and mansions and yachts and all that rich people, you know what I'm saying? But the whole time they're just taking this lady for a ride. So yeah, you think about like, damn, there's still people out there that like own like these mansions, and then you wonder how they keep them up. Groundskeepers, Evander Holyfield, the boxer. I think he owned like one of the richest houses since ever, and then he had to like sell it. And then I remember like a big talk was like groundskeeping for a place like that. Whatever he had, and it's just like those people are out there. Like that's wild. And you hear it all the time, like at least on a small scale, like people come into money and then it's like they go broke, you know, like real quick. And we all like to talk to ourselves about like, oh, that wouldn't happen to me. That wouldn't happen to me. But it's like, man, you 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 can enter an echelon. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I always talk about like breaking through the mold because I can't get the jobs I want. I can't get into the circles that I want. I can't like get the work that I want and all that other stuff. It's a lot like that, like breaking through the mold. Like there's another echelon. There's you could live your life and become like a big fish in a small pond. But then once you crack through, you break through the mold, you enter a new echelon, all that kind of stuff. Like you may no longer be that big fish in the pond. Instead, you're back to being the small fish. You're just a small fish with a whole lot more than what you had when you were a small fish before, you know? So it's like thinking about that's why tourism makes sense for like the castles. Like I live in Florida, we got St. Augustine, you know what I mean? We got all them old pirate towns. So like stuff like that makes sense because it's pay to play. You kind of walk in, hey, look at our cannons, look at the bricks, look at the cells that they used to keep the prisoners in, shit like that. Like like we got that. Oh, okay. So yeah, he's wrapping up finishing the game. And then I think Max Dude's playthrough of Bloodborne. I was in just, I know I'm off on a tangent already, not focusing on one subject matter at a time, but I'm just playing that because I've been working on my story. It all rounds off, rounds back to me. I was working on the story, and I've been trying to think of like beautiful environments and stuff like that, and how to go about because I've already done like rough sketches and studies of environments and things like that. But it's like, man, how do I make this so that it's not so generic? You know what I mean? Because I'm still not an environment artist. You know what I mean? So it's a little more difficult for me. Is one of the reasons why I like watching that Max Dude guy is because he'll take time to appreciate stuff. So I'm putting on that Bloodborne uh, lore run just because I think if I remember it correctly, he's actually going to take time and appreciate the environments and the way that the camera sets up the next stage and things like that. The level design, as far as like when your character walks into a certain place and how that place is presented. Like, sometimes he'll actually sit and gawk at it and call attention to it. And, me having to sit here and focus on not messing up Thorfinn's face here with this broad stroke brush with these minute details. It's kind of like that's why I'm watching all this stuff. I'm watching his playthrough just to kind of finish that off, and then putting that on so I can kind of get a little bit more of a inspiration on creating dope stuff. Not that what I'm working on has anything to do with like Bloodborne or that whole uh, kind of Victorian evil look. It's literally the camera angles that I'm like looking at. How does it look? What's the horizon line? Where is the horizon line? How many layers of ground is there? Like there's one foreground, there's one background. How much is going on? How much atmosphere is kicking in? Stuff like that. Like that's what I liked watching about Elden Ring a lot. Like watching those playthroughs. Just a ton of beautiful landscapes, stuff like that. For instance, if I wanted to study like something that was not like beautiful vistas and beautiful like landmarks from a distance, probably like start watching more first person shooter stuff. Think about all the close quarters. Thinking about how like everything is so quick and busy. Like as far as the environment goes, like there's not too much spaciousness going on. It's all very close quarters, and fast paced, and it's all built that way for a reason. Um, so while I'm writing this story, it's like, yeah, I just kind of, I'm working on, like I said, there's the character story, and then there's the world story. So when I'm working on like world story stuff, it's a little more expansive. You're looking at a rainforest, where when I'm working on the character story, it's like I'm focusing on a tree. If that makes sense. Like the tourism and castles and all that other stuff. Like all that stuff makes sense. Like that's how whoever owns that stuff is. I don't even know who owns that stuff. Is like castles like privately owned, or are they like owned by the state or the government? I don't know, man. That is wild. How RE4 remake made, made what was his name? The little Pulgasito. What was his name? I don't even know. I think it's Ramon Salazar, I believe. Like basically turning Captain Crunch into a real man, to a real monster. Like and his home and how he resides, it's like, dang, man. You got to think like how he must have been like the funding for Sadler, the main bad guy, cuz he was just kind of like a religious figure. And it's not like he had the Vatican backing him. He's kind of like on his own mission. So he had to like turn Salazar into a believer just so he can have his resources. You know what I mean? The resources of someone who owns a castle. It's wild. So then that's how like you can get like a character like Salazar to come to be. But like to make all that stuff make sense, or at least to not take you out of it so much to be like, this would never happen. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm always interested in these Resident Evil games just because it's like the stages, the stages that the game takes place in. Like RE4, start at the village, go to the castle, then you go to the island, I guess. Like you have 3 stages, and the little village looks like a crummy old village, and then the castle is like, holy crap, you know. They got catapults. And then you go to the island, and this is what I mean. I was watching like Max Dude's playthrough, and when he entered the island, he was the only playthrough that I saw that he stopped and took it in. Like there's this part when you're kind of entering it for the first time, and you could see the entire like factory, I guess, for the first time. But yeah, he took the time to sit there and just look at how the game developers kind of presented this stage to you. It's almost like they're saying, "Hey, look what we did." You know, the best artists are the ones that you don't know is there. So it's like, obviously, I don't want to kind of out it like that. But it's kind of like it's kind of like that. It was like you hit it. You're walking along these cliffs, so you're walled off on the sides, right? And then there's a turn, and a whole lot like reading a comic book when you do the page turn and then you get the splash page. It was a lot like that. Like there were some cliffs, and then you hit a left turn, and then the cliffs just kind of open up to a ledge, and then in the ledge, in the distance, you just see the whole factory, and you see the atmosphere, and you see the layers of it. You know, the first floor, second floor, third floor, the front of the buildings, the back of the buildings. Like you just see the whole thing almost, and it's just like, yeah, you about to run through all of that. It's a lot like in what, RE8 or RE Village, when you see the castle in the distance for the first time when hopping out of that burning building or something like that. And then you're like, yeah, you about to go to that castle. Like it's like that. Like they're presenting it to you before you get it. It's like when you see pictures on a menu before you order your food, and you're like, "Ooh, that looks good. I want that." You know, I'm kind of studying that kind of stuff right now. Like as far as like me working on the environments and working on the world building part of the story, where it's like, okay, I got the character and he's kind of doing this, that, and I just kind of I need to study different things working on him. So it's like I have like my character. Not that I'm gonna be like be giving away things, but I have like my character working, uh, doing things, and he's going places. And it's like, yeah, I could draw these places over and over, but I'm kind of thinking like, how do I draw it the best? Like, how can I draw it so that so that way it is good. It's the same thought that I put in when I like work on these commissions. Like it was like I wasn't given any direction on this commission. Oh yeah, so like my character, he's like going places and he's doing things. You know, like so like I'm drawing these environments and I'm looking at it from a three-dimensional perspective, and I'm like looking at it from the bird's eye view. I'm looking at it from the regular perspective. How tall is this building? How big is this machine? You know, if this guy had to bring this many people with him, how big does this boat have to be? Stuff like that. And then it becomes about like designing that stuff and then throwing that stuff into the environment. And now it's like, oh damn, how would that mesh with the environment? And then it's like drawing all that stuff. And that stuff I kind of only put on my Patreon. It's only for the patrons. tight. Oh hell yeah, that's looking decent. You know what I mean? Throwing on that Atmo filter. So basically, what I do here, uh, I kind of throw like an atmosphere filter. Like that's what the base coat is to me. It's kind of established the physical, the color atmosphere of the scene that I'm working on. So part of this is just because it's Vinland Saga. You watch the show, like it's a whole bunch of boats, whole bunch of Vikings, whole bunch of boats. So it's a whole bunch of burlap sacks and water and sky. You know what I'm saying? So I actually like to muddy these things out, because in that way it like helps me build onto what I want the focus to be in this picture. You know. Am I off? I'm off again. There we go. But see, like he just took a second to sit there and look at a broken carriage and a dead horse. You know what I mean? I appreciate like the gamer who's taking time to not just play but also spectate. What I always thought was interesting, going back to that RE4 thing. Getting back to the island after you get done with the castle and the catapults. How dope are those armored gargantuans or whatever they were called? The giant guys, like the really really giant guys with the worms sprouting out their back, like the armor joint. Like that shit. That shit can't be cheap if you want to make one of those like for real. That's the type of stuff I'd be thinking about. It's like, goddamn, how much money went into that? How much money went into making that monster, and you just go throw him down a lava pit real quick. Alright. Yeah, but then you end up on the island. And the island, you're not dealing with catapults anymore. Now you're back with zombos with like with guns, and instead of having like in the castle they had like wooden shields. Like you get to the island, now they got metal shields. Like there's almost like an advancement happening. I used to play that game growing up. Oh, what is this? Oh yeah, I used to play this game, Ages of Empire, and that game always like would take you through the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, the Gold Age, or something like that, or the Iron Age, or the Copper Age, like whatever it was. It took you through different ages, but it's kind of taught. At least I kind of like learned about like the values of metals, and like certain metals are like this, and other metals are like that. And the reason why like stronger structures were able to be made was because it was working with stronger material. All like the Three Little Pigs, like straw, sticks, and bricks. Just like that. It's like you start off and you're building a whole society off of straw until you can get advanced enough for whatever reason. Like I forget the gameplay, but you get advanced enough and then you step up. And now it's like you're building houses out of sticks, and you advance some more, and then now you're building houses out of bricks. Like, it wasn't like that, but it's like that. I'm feeling it. Like I got no direction on this commission, but I know like Thorfinn's just always trying to kill Askeladd. Like he has that one anime trope of like I'm gonna slay you, I'm gonna kill you. It's like that whole Afro Samurai trying to get damn, what's the bad guy's name in Afro Samurai? Not Kuma. The Billy the Kid motherfucker, the Wild West gunslinger guy. I forget his name. I'm pretty sure he had a cold-blooded name too. But like Afro Samurai was just like I'm gonna get you when he was like a kid, and then he grows up to be a man, and he's like I'm still gonna get you. Like, alright. Motherfucker looked like Johnny from Guilty Gear. Man. Yeah. Can't remember the names. So I thought it'd be funny to just draw a picture, or paint this picture. And since I wasn't given any direction, it's like, well, at least I kind of know I could tackle a little bit of violence. you know garner the spirit of FU. So yeah, I'm gonna jump back onto this probably later on in this stream, since I got like time. What are we, only an hour in? That's what's up. And yeah, let's jump on. Let's start a little some other badass. It was pretty good stream. Ton of watercolors, ton of markers, ton of yeah, I got some good stuff going, some bad stuff going. Well, I shouldn't say bad, but some stuff that's getting lost. I'm getting lost in the mud. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna step away and then look at it again before I start sharpening it up. Because yeah, I'm pretty happy with where it's at right now. Outside of that one, man, yeah, I'm well, either way, I'm GMrDrew. That's at GMrDrew on all socials. Follow, like, subscribe. Any and all support is appreciated. Just watching these things means the world to me. See someone stop by. What's up, Lurk? And yeah, man, GMrDrew.Art. The website's right there. Check that out. Hit me up through there. If you want commissions, a lot like this. This is a $3 tier commission. It's the first Tiger tier. So yeah, you're getting a whole lot of with just that much. So hopefully this kind of inspires you to be like, hey, I want this, but I want that, and I'll be more than happy to do it. Outside of that, yeah, merch stores, code 2023, get 50% off. That's half on me. And then what else? Yeah, that's about it. Outside of that, man, thanks for watching. Love y'all. Peace.